to their gaming or whatever at home, you might see a whole new side to them once you go off together.
So the trip's gone well and you've seen a whole new side to everybody. How do you bottle that? How do you keep that going when you come back?
Well, I think that's a really good question. I think there's a number of things you can do. One of the things that Eurostar's research showed was that you're more likely to make new friends and sort of talk to people. So one of the things you could do is keep in touch with those friends, maybe connect up with them on social media. And then when you're back, you can sort of, chat about your trip, and that will help you kind of get back into that state of mind that you were in. Obviously, I'm a big fan of taking great photography or whatever when I'm away. And maybe, nowadays, the thing with digital photography is we don't always kind of print them out and put them up on the wall or in albums. But I always think it's really nice if you can take at least one or two of your favorite shots from your trip and get them printed out and put them somewhere in the home or whatever, so you can see them. And then, every time you look at that, it brings back those feelings. It brings back that traveller state of mind that you had and just gives you a sort of a bit of a boost. And then I think probably it's about maybe taking regular trips and going, to on city breaks or shorter trips throughout the year, if you can, perhaps rather than just, leaving a long gap and then taking a one-off kind of trip, because then you're more regularly getting that little break away from the norm. And I think sometimes the greatest benefit of traveling is just having something refreshingly different and experiencing a new culture, new food, a new environment, and leaving all the sort of cares and stresses and strains of everyday life behind you at home.
So I was thinking about how guilty I am of not printing out the pictures, but how better. But when a Facebook memory comes up of a picture of me on holiday, I immediately get the feeling I had at the time. So yeah,
there you go.
I should print more out. Yeah.
That is a sort of typical kind of a visual cue that brings back those memories, and particularly the emotional memories of how you felt at the time. And I think that's a really great way. Or you could even keep just a snapshot album with, pictures from your favourite places or your favourite trips, and so you can imagine yourself back in those places.
Checking it out before you check in on the John Guinn Travel Show on ukhealthradio.com. I first came across travel bloggers when I was a travel agent. There was a promotion done by a tour operator, and they had a few travel bloggers on to talk about their blogs and how they do it. And all I can remember sitting there as a travel agent was, you're getting bigger discounts than I am for travelling, and you don't have the grief of people trying to knock you down by £15-20 per person when they're booking the holiday. They made it look so easy. It's not easy. It is hard work. But so if you do it well, you do make it look easy. So I wanted to know why Chloe became a blogger. As I mentioned a minute ago, the Chloe's website is Wanderlust Chloe. So did she become a blogger just to try new things, or was there something else?
I wouldn't say it's why I became a blogger, but it was certainly a great way to document some of the crazy extreme things that I decided to embrace when I was travelling. I set up my travel blog after quitting a job in London, a job that I didn't hate, but I was just feeling a bit worn out by life. And I set up the blog mainly, to be honest, just to document some, travels, some photos, just to send back to friends and family. And as I continued the travels, I obviously had a few adventures that perhaps weren't the norm. I stayed with a family in Guatemala and, played with the kids. And I thought, friends back home won't have done this before. I can't wait to tell them. And so the blog was obviously a great way of telling those stories. And I'd say these days it's still a great way of sharing some of the adventurous things I do, but also some of the very normal things you can do. You can just get on a train and visit somewhere new. You don't have to be, jet setting on a 10-hour flight to go and have a great travel story to tell at the end of it. It's sometimes just about doing things a lot closer to home.
I've looked at your blog and you make it look easy, but how hard is it to become a travel blogger?
It takes a lot of hard work. I would love to say my life is completely stress-free as a blogger, but obviously every job will bring a few stresses with it. There are probably quite a lot of hours I've slaved away, not quite understanding some coding I've done and trying to fix it. But I would say in general, it's hard work in that every job brings its stresses and strains, but it's a passion project for me. It's something I absolutely love doing. I love traveling. I love exploring the world, and I've absolutely loved sharing the stories with my followers. And it's even more exciting when someone messages me and says, I'm going to Chile next month. I want to do exactly the same route you did. Can you give me a few tips on this? Or what should I wear to go to Morocco? Or, it's those kind of personal engagements that make me it's very rewarding for me.
These personal engagements, would you advise would-be bloggers that they should be prepared to do that and do it willingly and not just ignore people making contact?
Definitely. I think it's all about building your community and speaking to people directly. I've never set up a blog just to kind of put it out there and have no one listen to it, no one read it. It's all about having that direct connection with followers and fans, and I think that's what makes it meaningful. I used to read a lot of travel blogs, and it was how I planned my trips before I blogged. And I think I read a lot about travels a lot further afield, and now I'm traveling within Europe a lot more. I've covered a lot of France, of Spain, of Italy in the last year, and I still read blogs. I still get tips, and they're often the most up-to-date current resources. They'll have great ideas on, the latest restaurant that's just opened, and then obviously once you've booked your trip, you can really, really get excited once you start reading those blogs.
I'm not sure if this is going to be an easy or a hard question, but what's been your best trip? So many. I went to Indonesia last year, and for me, I hadn't been to Asia before. I felt like everyone had done that on their gap years, and I was horribly behind at the age of 30. And stepping foot in Asia, just full stop for me, was quite a big moment. But once we got there, we were visiting temples. We were really getting the full cultural experience. We were switching off a lot, to be honest, just to take it all in, because there was so much to see and do. And I think, it's that kind of travel where you start to appreciate this incredible world we live in, and understand that we're just a tiny dot over here in the UK, and there's so much out there to go and see and do. And it's not necessarily about all the big trips. I have the same kind of appreciation on trips much closer to home as well. I went to Paris last year for my birthday. Obviously hopped on the Eurostar. It was so easy. I think we were at King's Cross at 9 a.m. and walking down the Champs-Élysées by midday. And trips like that, it was a 30th, it was a landmark, it was a very special occasion. And I don't often travel with my mum for many reasons, in that sometimes I think it's better to travel with people you don't know that well. You sometimes want to have that personal experience. But actually sharing those moments with my mum, that's one of the trips I will never forget. So how can we find out more about the services that Honey offers and more about Chloe's blog?
You can find out more about my services on my website, which is honeylancasterjames.com, or just Google me. But you can find out more about the travel state of mind research, and in particular, there's some really great tips towards sort of how to achieve a travel state of mind at www.travelstateofmind.eurostar.com. So that's probably a really good place to go.
Yeah, there are some great tips there on how to kind of really capture that travel state of mind. When you're at home, you don't need to be away to have it. And for me, my blog is wanderlustchloe.com. It's where I share lots of tips on travel, adventures, and lots of photos from my trips as well.
Okay, great. Thanks both for your time.
No, pleasure. Thank you for having us.
You can keep up to date with travel news and leave me a message at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. Chloe and Honey's web addresses can be found at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. Just look for the post for the 23rd of February show. And now the important news from the Civil Aviation Authority, or the CAA. And I think it's important, and as I said before, if you're affected, then you think it's important too. But the CAA has just launched enforcement action against 5 major airlines for denying passengers the compensation they are legally entitled to for delayed flights. The airlines are American Airlines, Emirates, Etihad, Singapore Airlines and Turkish Airlines. The CAA review found that each of the airlines was breaching consumer law. These airlines confirmed to the CAA that they do not pay compensation to passengers who have experienced a delay on the first leg of a flight that caused them to miss a connecting flight and as a result of this arrived at the final destination over 3 hours late. The airline's refusal to pay compensation in these instances fails to meet the legal passenger rights requirements for flight disruption. It is mentioned that Singapore Airline currently places compensation claims for delays on hold. But under European rules, passengers are legally entitled to compensation if they arrive at the final destination of their journey more than 3 hours late, including if booked on a connecting flight, unless the delay was due to extraordinary circumstances. These rights apply to any flight departing an EU airport, regardless of the nationality of the airline. The CAA estimates that over 200,000 passengers each year travelling on these airlines could be at risk of missing on their onward connection and thereby being delayed by over 3 hours at the final destination. The CAA's own data shows that the most complained about airline for non-payment of compensation was Emirates, while Turkish Airlines has given their passengers access to an alternative dispute resolution service, which is designed to ensure that they can get quick, independent and binding decisions on their disputes with the airline. None of the other airlines facing the enforcement action had joined an alternative dispute resolution service. The CAA is therefore calling on these airlines and all other airlines not using an alternative dispute resolution to commit to giving their passengers access to these complaint services as soon as possible. The action follows a comprehensive review of airline policies for supporting passengers experiencing disruption. The review looked at the different policies of the top 31 airlines operating in the UK, and it focused on 4 areas: care and assistance during disruption, compensation for missed flights, denied boarding when a passenger has been bumped on a flight, and downgrading when passengers are downgraded to a lower class seat. The CAA has also started enforcement action against Vueling for failing to comply with the minimum standards for care and assistance, and this includes the lack of clear oversight to check passengers are being looked after within the requirements of the law. On downgrading, the CAA required a number of airlines to amend their policies during the course of the review. The vast majority of airlines reviewed by the CAA are meeting the minimum compliance standards for care and assistance of passengers during disruption. But if you want to find out more, then I'll put a link to this news story on the CAA's website at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. And if you've experienced with any problems with getting compensation from an airline for being delayed or downgraded or any other problem, and you feel that you should be compensated, please do let me know your story. facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. We've come to the end of the show. If you have any tips on maintaining your travel state of mind, please do share them at facebook.com/John Guinn Travel Show. Likewise, if you have any input on my research into living near an airport, whether you're happy or not, please do let me know. Same Facebook page, John Guinn Travel Show. And I do hope you can join me next time on the Travel Show with John Guinn on ukhealthradio.com, where each week I check out before you check in.